Hello, everybody. This is Buddy Webb at Midland, Texas. An interesting story today. This come across my Facebook news feed. It's a news story, ABC News. Facebook removes nearly 200 accounts tied to hate groups. And so I shared that, and I'm sure that's having to do with the the protest and the widespread police corruption, brutality, and all that. But I commented here. I said there was a hate group created against me, and I'm the crippled victim of a home invasion and premeditated capital attempted murder. I got copies of messages posted in it and a list of the group members of this hate group. It's suspected that many of them are connected with the underground homes and the tens of thousands of crimes believed to be connected with them, which includes multiple murders. And I go over the facts on that, over and over. The multiple people have said that there's underground homes here, including a recent candidate for sheriff. The proof that somebody under my home shot me. Looks like they killed the guy before me. I'm told about a young girl that was murdered in 2010. The remains of a young girl are found in 2013. And then the repeated burglaries, people in the attic. I reported some in the attic a year later. I'm shot with burglar alarms going to my attic. Now homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, multiple other states are documented reporting people in the attic. And, literally tens of thousands of crimes that are believed to be connected with these 4 underground homes, 3-bedroom, cost $1 million, believed where they were having the Permian Basin International oil show parties, the famous ones put on by wealthy oil men, prostitution, drugs, etc. Okay, and so anyways, there's the background, but this is talking about the face group, group that was created as a hate group. Okay, and it was called. The name of that group was Buddy Wayne Webb's Victims, and as far as I know, I'm the only guy that was home minding his own business that, is crippled for life, living under the threat of the death. I'm the victim here, these criminals, and not the people in this group, but the people that come to my home, they loaded their guns, they drove from their home to my home. The evidence shows that, right? That they come to my home and with guns, cut my phone lines, shot me from point blank range, listened to me scream for help, and waited for me to die. And it looks like I was just the next guy after the last guy, because this home's rigged like many others. Well, my Facebook post, my first one, and that's what I'm going to go off of here because I laid it out and it works well that way. And here I said on July 18, 2016, I posted a video called Hailey Dunn Murder Confession on Facebook. Under this Facebook post, a woman named Terrin Thomas wrote, "I think it's safe to say that we all know that her mom, stepdad, as well as Hailey, were on dope. People in Odessa have been saying the same to him for years." A woman named Julie Brindle then replies, "I heard a similar but slightly different version from a friend who talked to a man that said he did it." And then she said, "Mom did sell her." And I believe Julie Brindle worked up there with the drug rehab counselor at Trading Points, whatever the name of that drug place is. Terrin Thomas comments again and says they had Hailey for a good while. Hailey knew who had her, and it wasn't a hostage situation. People said that they had heard people had gone to the house while she was there, and she was walking around like it was her house. But what was weird is I heard from more than 10 people that they shaved her head like 2 weeks before she supposedly overdosed. Why shave her head if you aren't trying to hide her? Now, supposedly she was buried in the same house's backyard. Okay, and I went on to write, and I said, interestingly, a month earlier, on July 19, 2016, a private investigator from Houston named Brenda Paradise had told me, "I also heard that when Hailey was found, the remains had no hair, which would mean that the body was moved." And at this time, we hadn't heard, Terrin Thomas's story of shaving the head, but all of a sudden it makes sense to what Terrin said, her and her 10 friends, was adding up, And so that seemed to confirm Terrin's story about Hailey's head being shaved at a home over in Odessa. And I suggest law enforcement talks to her 10 friends, okay? And we got almost a dozen people documented saying Hailey was killed over in Odessa. Terrin later said that she made the whole thing up and threatened to sue me. And on October 6, 2018, Terrin Thomas creates the Facebook hate group that she named Buddy Wayne Webb's Victims, okay? And I have a screenshot here This is where I posted that video called Hailey Dunn Murder Confession. And basically, you know, that Kristin, the drug rehab counselor, had contacted me on YouTube and said she had got the confession from a guy named Bushman, okay? And she sent me, you know, a screenshot of her resignation letter to her bosses where she said that he had confessed to 3 homicides, you know. I posted that on my Facebook last night. Well, here's Terrin Thomas's reply there. And see, there was a date, July 18th on that. And Terrace, you know, and I ain't going to read it again, but that's what I just said. I think it's safe to say we know they're all on dope, you know, and they shaved her head, you know, and she's buried in that backyard, okay? And so, you know, I mean, I quoted Terrin. She was one out of the dozen people that have now documented us saying that Hailey was killed over in Odessa. And then this is from Brenda Paradise here. I also heard that Hailey was found. The remains had no hair, which means that the body was moved. Or it might mean that they shaved her head just like Terrin Thomas said. Okay, right? That's what I'm thinking. Doesn't that make sense? Okay. And one guy, he boasts the shaving of heads a satanic ritual. Well, there's nothing here that suggests this was a satanic ritual. Actually, it was suggested, actually names called out that it was a gang that kidnapped her, you know, the Aryan Brotherhood. And I don't know if them, you know, I've never heard of them gangs doing satanic rituals or nothing like that, you know. I ended up blocking this guy because he didn't stop on this. He went from there to you know, some other stuff on what do you call it, brainwashing, you know, theory and all this. And I'm like, no, this is the murder of a little girl, you know, and we ain't going there, you know. And you know, I just replied back, it might also be done because they're trying to hide a kidnapped kid that was becoming world famous, right? Yeah, they might have shaved her head because she was on the news. There's a $30,000 reward for her and everybody's looking for her, you know. And so anyways, on this screenshot, which come out of the hate group, okay, and I'm going to quote here, Terrin Thomas wrote, I'm going to shave your head. She wasn't talking to me. She's talking to somebody else. I'm going to shave your head, take out all your teeth, remove the tips of all your fingers, and cut off any tattoos that you have after we kill you so that no one can identify your body when they find it in Buddy's attic. This was posted in that hate group that she created to her friend, Kristin Nicole Bushman. That's where it's wondered, is Kristin Nicole Bushman related to Brett Bushman, who the drug counselor said confessed to the murder of Hailey Dunn, you know? And Kristin said, you're safe as long as you take a selfie in the tunnels I made under Buddy's house, okay? And there's Terrin Thomas comments about shave your head, etc. Kristin says, I'm keeping the dog. She wants Bella, my dog. And then Terrin Thomas says, are you keeping it for soup because they're going to eat my dog, right? And then this other person, Dallas, makes some comment. I'm not sure what that's about. Okay. Here's another Terrin Thomas quote and a screenshot right from the hate group. Terrin Thomas said that she has the answers that I'm looking for, which I suspect she means that she knows who tried to murder me and who murdered Hailey Dunn. Okay, and here it is. Terrin Thomas, you would think he'd quit blocking all the people who have his answers he so desperately needs. I blocked everyone. There was like over 90 of these members in this hate group, you know, and it's slander and lies and threats, you know, and so here's Kristin, right, like where the F in my appreciation for warning about my mission, etc. And this person, Malaysia, can you tag me in post? I can't. He blocked me, okay, and because I was blocking these stalkers, you know, and this group here, okay. So my next comment here. I say, a friend sent me screenshots of the members of this hate group along with many threatening and slanderous comments. The ex-wife told me in so many words that a lot of people were here at my home when somebody tried to murder me. Each one of these people should be investigated by law enforcement and asked what they know about the underground homes and the multiple murders believed to be connected with them. I'm curious if they have alibis for the evenings of the oil show in October 2010 when I was told about the young girl that was murdered at a party. They should also be asked if they have an alibi for the night that somebody under my home shot me by surprise in January 2012. In Texas, it's a crime to know about a violent crime and not report it to law enforcement. Failure to report a felony is that crime. And many times that's upgraded to accessory to murder, capital attempted murder. I mean, murder is a very serious crime. Well, I created a spreadsheet of all these members, and of course it was created by Terrin Thomas, on October 6, 2018. And these were the founding members right here. You can pause it, take a screenshot, whatever you want to go back and look. You can see Kristin Nicole Bushman was pretty much your second member. And then I have that invited by column, and you can see all these other people. David Mendoza was a original member. I saw comments from him. Some of these other ones, there's the bottom ones here. Y'all can look at that. Here's some more of the people that are members. And just because they're members don't mean that they were, have information about underground facilities and multiple murders. But I think they should be asked, you know what I mean? See that Buddy Webb? That was that fake Facebook profile created by Bushman, by Kristin Nicole Bushman, okay? And so y'all can see them, Lance Eggleston, and I did a whole different comment on him, okay? And so underneath this, I got print screens of each one of them. Buddy, that's the name of the group, Buddy Wayne Webb Victims, okay? And here's our two founding members, Kristin Nicole Bushman and Terrin Thomas, and then the people that I just read out there, and you can see them there. And that's only one page. There's 10 pages of it, And then, that's like, well, here's page 2. Here's all these people. Now, why are they in this hate group, right? And I mean, literally, I moved to Midland with Hope Excitement as a 25-year company man, and granddad, bought a home and the American dream, and this home's rigged, and they tried to murder me. And founding member right there that Glendo is. And and then all this hatred and it's hard to really figure out, other than it's definitely a crime ring. The ex-wife, a couple of weeks after I survived the murder attempt, come by, and she said, "You don't know how many lives you ruin with your idiocy." Well, my idiocy is staying home, minding my own business. You know what I mean? My idiocy was calling the police and going, somebody's breaking into my home. They're committing crimes here, felonies. And that was my idiocy. I mean, what do you mean, my idiocy? But what she said was a lot of people were there, and when it's found out what they were doing, their lives are going to be ruined. Well, where were they? In the underground home, in the backyard, of course. There's that fake account right there, okay? Added by Terrin Thomas, but I think it was created by Kristin Bushman, okay? And so, I think that's the same one, 6. And, so, I mean, you sit here and go, well, what were they doing in the underground facility that would run their life if it's found out? And I don't know that. That's a, $1 million question, And I'm sure it's probably the reason that they're attacking the crippled crime victim and et cetera, But, I did record that one phone call where lady said there's 4 3-bedroom underground homes, 25 foot deep, and each of them cost $1 million. She said they were having pedophile parties down there, pizza parties. They were having sex with children, And then I already wondered if it wasn't connected with the swingers club, which would be real, closely tied into prostitution ring, prostitution, etc. There's a Kristin Nicole Bushman. One of the wealthiest families in Odessa is the Bushman family. And they own CBS 7. Interestingly, CBS 7 has me blocked on Facebook. I can't even comment on their on any of their posts, And I've provided them all kinds of evidence. I have proof of doctors faking X-rays, proof of secret police, the names of the secret police, multiple people documented saying underground facilities are here, And all these people, more than half a dozen, reported Hailey Dunn's killed over in Odessa. They hadn't reported a single one of them, Here's the next post right here. Okay. One of the founding members of this hate group was Kristin Nicole Bushman, who is related to the super wealthy family on Odessa that used to own CBS 7, MGM Elegante motels, A1 mobile homes. And she created a fake Facebook profile using my name and added many members to this Facebook group. I had to block her for the cyber stalking, threats, and slander. I have the screenshots proving that too. Her brother-in-law, Hunter Bushman, told me that he believed she knew about the tunnels. And Hunter sure seemed like a nice guy. I believe he's the grandson. So here's a picture of Kristin when I took screenshots of our profile, you know, just for my own safety. And on this side is where Hunter Bushman contacted me, okay? And like I said, he's the grandson of the wealthy family over in Odessa. There's the date, May 29, 17, all verifiable. He says, hey, buddy, whatever you do, man, do not listen to Kristin Nicole Bushman. She's my sister-in-law, and she's crazy. And I believe she knows something about the tunnels. She attempts to negate your claims, but I think she's a part of it. Just trying to give you a heads up because I believe you, you know. And well, thank you, thank you, Hunter, man. How nice, you know, and you know, I sincerely appreciate that. You know, what a good guy. And you know, here's a Facebook friend. Oh, she's definitely not related to the Bushmans. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she is. You know, I mean, that is a picture of Kristin right there from her profile. And it's my understanding she's married to a Bushman. You know that. She's married in the family, and Hunter is the grandson and well known by many people in the area. I'm gonna have to stop as the doorbell's ringing. All right, it was a neighbor with a lost dog, and so I had to check the door. Anyway, I'm back here, and you know, and I was just telling Tina, yeah, no, that is a Bushman for sure, and so I went on here. Drug counselor Kristin Otts told me that Brett Bushman confessed to the murder of 13-year-old Hailey Dunn with graphic details. I wondered if he was related to this Bushman family in Odessa, this super wealthy Bushman family. And this is only a part of that story. I did a recent video called Drug Counselor Hailey Dunn Murder. It tells more about this, but basically is Kristin Smith Ost, who was the drug counselor, and on Facebook she was going by Allison Mack, but here's what she wrote me in a message, and you know, and I'm just going to read this part of it. She said the guy said, and the guy was Brett Bushman. She said the guy said she was traded by her mother for a drug balance of $135 worth of meth. While she was in the care of the dealer, she flipped out and they shot her up with something. She overdosed and died. The guy who confessed to me said he took her back to her mother and they stuffed her into a box. He described the way they had to bend her and break her to fit. Then they buried her on a ranch outside of Odessa. Now keep in mind, this wasn't what Terrin Thomas said about Hailey Dunn, but it was very similar to it. And I had a whole different person say it wasn't $135 worth of meth, it was $130 worth of meth. And then I've got another video where it shows that the mother had withdrew $140 out of the bank one day, and and that actually made it into I think a news story or something. And then here's the date in February 2016, and she says BB is Brett Bushman, and that was Kristin Otts, and she took a screenshot of her resignation letter she'd sent to her supervisors at Turning Point over in Odessa. And that's where I was saying a while ago that she said that Brett Bushman, this guy, had confessed to being involved in 3 homicides besides burying a child in a safe, and she's a credible witness, and she's only one of many. And I told somebody earlier, Hailey Dunn blogger, I said, anybody trying to discredit this, almost dozen people saying that Hailey was killed over in Odessa ought to be investigated for trying to cover up that little girl's murder. There's just way too much evidence that, to call all these people liars, and that's what they're doing. Kristin said she was doing lines in a bathroom back in 2012. Interestingly, evidence shows that I had unknowingly trapped a burglar in my guest bathroom a few hours before I was ambushed and shot. Some people have suspected the motive for murder may have been to free this criminal that was in the commission of a felony. So, I was shot during the commission of a felony when the felony was the burglary of habitation. That's what makes it a capital crime and carries a life sentence, for all the people involved. 5 people breaking a home, all 5 are charged. So if we got 100 people in my underground home there, then all 100 get charged, unless of course they go to law enforcement and say, hey, I want to report this person because I didn't have nothing to do with that attempted murder, but if they don't, they're trying to cover up the murder, they're a party to it, And here's Kristin Nicole, and that's what I just quoted. Where was I in 2012? Probably doing lines in a bathroom somewhere. And lines is usually drugs, cocaine, meth, and that. I don't know if they do heroin. This was a fake Facebook profile that Kristin created using my name and her comments about watching me, okay? And that's right before I blocked her, you know. I'm a member of the secret police. We're watching you. Beware, buddy. And I take all threats serious. I've already survived a murder attempt and had many death threats since there. We're into the tunnels late at night waiting, watching, etc. And this is my name. You see it, it's a Facebook profile. And I put the URL here so law enforcement could trace that back to the IP address to the person that created this fake account, because that would be harassing the victim of a capital attempted murder, you know, and or a witness to a capital crime, and doing that. And so, but I know she admitted to it in that hate group, so I know who did it. That's how I knew that. Also, a member of this Facebook hate group was Lance Eggleston, who had told me, "We have access to your residence all times. Nobody will ever believe your story. You will be silenced, not if, but when." Okay. And what's my story? Somebody under my home shot me, right? That's my story, you know. They have hidden underground access, you know. That's why he says no one will ever believe me. So do you think Lance knows about the underground homes and the underground, facility? And this is a terroristic threat. This is a crime, what he just did, you know. And here he is. Remember, we know where you are. We know where you sleep. We have access to your residence all times. No one will ever believe your story. We will come again. You will be silenced, not if, but when. And I wrote, "When are you going to murder me, Lance?" See, that's the people in this hate group that was created on Facebook, you know. And so I just wonder how many of them were here when I was shot. How many was a party to the capital attempted murder? How many was at the 2010 oil show parties when the little girl was murdered? Or maybe even the guy before me, you know. And here's another guy, and I just think it was another guy in the group. I wonder what Rob Gilliam knows about underground home and multiple murders. The court case is a mockery of justice. Rob Gilliam said, "I just Googled him. His ex-wife has a lifetime protective order against him, which he tried to have appealed. The judge upheld the protective order. He's a verified nut job." You know, and so once again, that public defamation of my character right there. And, you know, let's be clear about this protective order. I wasn't charged with a crime because I didn't commit a crime, you know, and more than that, this protective order come from the ex-wife who's alleged to be involved in the shooting, admitted to trying to extort money from me, and if I didn't pay her, which I didn't, she said she was going to tell everybody that I was crazy, right? And then she goes to court. Here she lived 100 miles away, and I hadn't seen her, talk to her in a year and a half, and then this protective order is filed. A lot of people believe that protective order was filed was to cover up the premeditated capital murder attempt on my life, plus the other murders, the underground facility, and all that. And so Rob Gilliam might know something, and law enforcement might want to talk to him too. So there's some leads. I'm going to be sending this to our sheriff, and you know, and he's claimed to have integrity and to be a Christian, and you know, and we just pray that he is. You know, a sheriff candidate, recent sheriff candidate, Joe Lozano, I recorded him saying that our last sheriff used to hang out in the underground homes by my house. I wondered if Sheriff Gary Painter was here when I was shot, you know, or maybe even shot me. You know, it's suspected it might have been police that tried to murder me on my home because of that trap burglar, you know, or you know, really what they're trying to do, they're working with this crime ring, and which I believe is a sex trafficking ring, burglary, theft, murder, all that. Anyway, Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.